Adanna knelt in Motsi Okafor's sitting room, tears streaming down her face, begging for more time to pay her boyfriend's rent. But what the wealthy landlord said next made her blood run cold. "Spend one night with me, and the debt disappears." She ran back to Kachi, expecting him to be furious, expecting him to fight for her honor. Instead, he looked her dead in the eyes and said 5 words that would destroy her soul. "Ada, just do it. It's only one night. Only one night." The woman who gave him 70% of her salary every single month. The woman who woke up at 5 a.m. to cook his meals. The woman who brought customers to his mechanic shop. That woman he wanted her to open her legs for his landlord. But wait. Wait. What Kachi didn't know was that this wasn't just a landlord's proposition. It was a test. A carefully planned test by someone who had loved Adanna since they were 14 years old. Someone who needed to know if Kachi deserved even her shadow. And what happened next? Oh, what happened next would send Kachi straight to prison, reveal that Adanna was actually a governor's daughter, and leave him standing on the roadside as a bus conductor, staring at her face on a billboard, realizing he had thrown away a queen for a curse. But let me start from the beginning. In the bustling city of Onitsha, where traders shouted prices and Okada riders weaved through traffic like dancers, lived Adanna, a 26-year-old primary school teacher at St. Michael's Academy. Now, Adanna wasn't just beautiful. No. She had that kind of beauty that came from the inside, the type that made her students run to hug her every morning, the type that made market women call her our daughter. But Adanna had given her heart to one man, Kachi. Oh, Kachi. 28 years old, 6 feet tall, with a smile that could convince you to buy sand in the desert. He owned a small auto repair shop on Owerri Road, fixing cars and selling dreams. Big dreams. Huge dreams. "Ada, my love," he would say, wiping grease from his hands, "one day I'll own 5 shops. Enugu, ABA, Port Harcourt. We'll live in GRA. My mother will dance at our wedding, and your father will be proud to call me son." And Adanna. She believed every single word. Before we continue with this heartbreak, yes, I said heartbreak, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification bell so you never miss our stories. Trust me, you'll want to hear how this one ends. Every morning, Adanna woke up at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. She'd prepare jollof rice with chicken, not just any chicken, the special type from Mama Nkechi's shop, pack it in a food flask, and deliver it to Kachi's shop before heading to school. Every single day. But that wasn't all. Oh no. She gave him 70% of her 45,000 naira salary. 31,500 naira every month went straight into Kachi's hands for spare parts and business expansion. She brought him customers from her school, teachers needed their cars fixed, parents trusted her recommendations. She even stayed after work to help him balance his account books because, let's be honest, Kachi couldn't tell a debit from a credit if his life depended on it. For one whole year, Adanna poured everything into this man like water into a basket. Except she didn't know it was a basket. She thought it was a pot. Then Friday happened. That Friday evening started like any other. Adanna arrived at the shop with her usual food flask, humming a worship song. But instead of Kachi's usual greeting, she found him sitting on an old tire, his head buried in his hands like someone had died. "Kachi, what's wrong? Talk to me." He looked up, and his eyes were red, not from crying, but from fear. "Motsi Okafor came today," he said. "He wants his rent. 6 months worth. 250,000 naira, Ada. If I don't pay by Monday, he'll throw me out. The shop and my apartment." Now, remember, Adanna had just given him her salary 3 days ago. Where did that money go? She didn't ask. Love is blind, deaf, and apparently stupid too. "Let me talk to Motsi Okafor," she said, holding his hands. Let me beg him for more time. Something flickered in Kachi's eyes. Hope. Calculation. We'll never know. Saturday morning, Adanna wore her best dress, a simple blue Ankara gown her mother had sewn for her birthday, and walked to Motsi Okafor's compound. The man lived like a king. Story building, gatesman, generator humming like it never knew what NEPA was. She was led to his sitting room. Leather chairs that swallowed you whole. Air conditioning that made you forget Onitsha heat existed. And there sat Motsi Okafor, 60-something years old, whiskey in hand, looking at her like she was merchandise. Adanna knelt respectfully. Motsi, please. I'm begging you. Give Kachi more time. He's a hard worker. He just needs. I'm a businessman, Adanna, he interrupted, swelling his whiskey. Time is money. But. He paused, his eyes crawling over her like ants on sugar. I'm also a man who appreciates value. The room suddenly felt cold despite the heat outside. Spend one night with me, he said, like he was ordering rice at a restaurant. Just one night, and I'll forget the rent. In fact, I give him 6 more months free. Adanna shot up like she'd been electrocuted. Her hands were shaking, her stomach churning. Motsi, I didn't come here to disgrace myself. I am not that kind of woman. Then Monday, he said coldly, Kachi packs out. She ran from that house. Ran like the devil himself was chasing her. Went straight to Kachi's shop, tears streaming, heart pounding, ready to hear him say they'd find another way, ready to hear him defend her honor, ready to hear him be a man. Instead, Ada. Kachi said slowly, not looking at her. Maybe you should do it. The word stopped. What did you just say? Her voice was a whisper. It's just one night, Ada. One night. He's not even asking for money anymore. 6 months free. Do you know what I could build in 6 months? You want me to sleep with your landlord? Each word felt like glass in her throat. And then this man had the audacity to say, it's not like you're a virgin, Ada. We've been together. What's the difference? Close your eyes, it will be over fast, and we'll be free. Lord have mercy. You said you'd do anything for me, he continued, his voice getting harder. Were you lying? Adanna staggered backward. This man she cooked for, sacrificed for, loved was asking her to sell her body for rent. I won't do it, she whispered, tears pouring. Then get out. Kachi shouted. Get out of my shop. You never loved me. She ran into the Onitsha streets, the sun setting behind her, her heart shattered into pieces too small to count. She collapsed on a bench near the old Anglican church, sobbing so hard that even the birds stopped singing. But somebody was watching. Somebody who had been waiting for this moment, not to celebrate her pain, but to finally reveal a truth that would change everything. Adanna. Adanna Okoye. She looked up through her tears, and there stood Tob. Tob. Her childhood friend from the village. The boy who used to walk her to school. The boy who fought those bullies in primary 4 when they made fun of her worn shoes. That Tob. But this wasn't a boy anymore. This was a man. 6'2", broad shoulders, wearing a simple but clean white shirt. His eyes, those same kind eyes from childhood, looked at her with such concern that she broke down even harder. Tob. What are you doing here? I just got back to Onitsha yesterday, he said, sitting beside her carefully, like she might run away. But forget about me. What happened? Why are you crying like the world ended? And she told him. Everything. Every disgusting word Motsi Okafor said. Every heartless syllable from Kachi's mouth. She watched Tob's jaw tighten with each detail, his fist clenching until his knuckles went white. When she finished, the silence was heavy. Then Tob spoke, his voice quiet but firm. Adanna, that man does not love you. A man who truly loves you would die before he let another man touch you. But I love him, Tob, she cried, defending the very man who had just tried to pimp her out. Then you are loving a snake, Tob replied. And if you're not careful, that snake will poison you to death. He reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. A thick envelope. Here. 250,000 naira. Adanna's eyes went wide. Tob, where did you? I can't. You can, and you will, he said firmly. Pay his rent. But after this, Adanna, promise me you'll walk away. Promise me you'll stop watering a dead plant. She took the money with shaking hands, overwhelmed, confused, grateful. As she walked away, she didn't see the pain in Tob's eyes. She didn't know that this man had loved her since they were 14. She didn't know he'd been watching, waiting, hoping that one day she'd see him the way she saw Kachi. But Tob was patient. And patience, as they say, moves mountains. Sunday morning came with church bells ringing across Onitsha. Adanna held that envelope like it contained her entire future. She had rehearsed her words, Kachi, I got the money. We can fix this. We can move forward. She imagined him hugging her, thanking her, apologizing for those terrible words. Love makes us stupid like that. She arrived at his shop at 10 a.m. sharp. The door was half open. She heard laughter. Female laughter. The kind of laughter that sounded expensive. She walked in, and her heart shattered for the second time in 48 hours. There was Kachi, leaning against his desk. And on that desk sat a woman who looked like she had fallen out of a fashion magazine. Light skin glowing like she bathed in honey. Gold jewelry dripping from her neck and wrist. Expensive lace blouse that probably cost more than Adanna's entire wardrobe. This was Zainab. Kachi. Adanna's voice came out small, broken. He turned, and for half a second just half guilt flashed across his face. Then it was gone, replaced by something cold. Zainab spoke first, her voice dripping with mockery. Oh. Is this the one? The teacher. She laughed, looking Adanna up and down like she was counting her flaws. Chai, Kachi, you didn't tell me she dresses like a church usher. What is this, 1995? Kachi said nothing. His silence was louder than any insult. Adanna stepped forward, her hands trembling, and held out the envelope. Kachi, I got the money. For your rent. The shop went quiet. Even the fan seemed to stop turning. Then Kachi laughed. Not a happy laugh. Not an embarrassed laugh. A cruel laugh. The kind that cuts you deep and twists. Keep your money, Ada, he said, gesturing to Zainab. My woman here already paid my rent. 6 months in advance. She even bought me a car, a Toyota Camry. It's parked outside. What can you offer me? Rice in a flask. Rice in a flask. The words hung in the air like a slap that never lands but still stings. Zainab slid off the desk, her heels clicking on the concrete floor as she walked toward Adanna. Sweetheart, she said, her voice fake sweet like expired honey, let me give you some advice. Girls like you need to know your place. You're playing in the minor leagues, but Kachi just got called up to the majors. So do yourself a favor, run along. The envelope fell from Adanna's hands. It hit the floor with a soft thud. Some of the money peeked out. Neither Kachi nor Zainab even looked at it. 250,000 naira on the ground, and they treated it like dust. Adanna turned slowly, mechanically, like a robot whose battery was dying. She walked out of that shop with her last shred of dignity. This time, her tears were silent. The kind that hurt more because they don't make noise. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks of Adanna going through life like a ghost. Teaching her students without smiling. Coming home to her small room without eating. She hadn't heard from Kachi, he'd blocked her number. She hadn't told Tob what happened, she was too ashamed. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. Adanna, this is Motsi Okafor. I need to see you. It's urgent. Please come. Her blood went cold. What did this man want now? Haven't they humiliated her enough? But something in his voice sounded different. She arrived at his compound that evening. The gateman led her to the sitting room. But this time, Motsi Okafor wasn't alone. Tob was there. Tob was there. Adanna, Motsi Okafor actually stood up when she entered. I owe you a very deep apology. She blinked, confused. Motsi, I don't understand. That proposition I made to you, he said, looking genuinely ashamed, it wasn't real. It was a test. The room started spinning. Motsi Okafor gestured to Tob. This young man here is my nephew. My late sister's son. What? He told me about you years ago, Motsi continued. How kind you were. How pure your heart was. When he heard Kachi was my tenant, he asked me for a favor. He needed to know what kind of man Kachi was. He needed to see if Kachi would protect you, or sell you. Adanna's mouth opened, but no words came out. A real man, Motsi Okafor said, his voice heavy with disgust, would have stormed into my house. He would have cursed me. He would have fought for your honor. But Kachi, he tried to give you to me. Like you were a goat at the market. Adanna turned to Tob, tears streaming down her face. You planned this. Tob stood slowly, carefully. Adanna, I know you're angry. I know this hurts. But I had to know. Because. He took a deep breath. Because I've loved you since we were 14. And I couldn't stand by and watch you destroy yourself for a man who saw you as a transaction, not a treasure. Adanna couldn't process it. The test. The confession. The truth that the man she loved had failed so completely. She ran out of the house, her mind spinning, her heart confused. But somewhere across Onitsha, Kachi was popping champagne with Zainab, completely unaware that the woman paying his bills was about to drag him to hell. And that test he didn't know he was taking. He didn't just fail it. He failed it so badly that prison was about to become his new address. 3 weeks. 3 weeks was all it took for Kachi to forget Adanna ever existed. Why would he remember her when Zainab had turned his life into a movie? Not just any movie, a Nollywood blockbuster with all the cars, clothes, and champagne. Listen to what this woman did for this ungrateful man. First, she paid his 6 months' rent, cash. The same rent he wanted Adanna to sell her body for. Then she bought him a 2015 Toyota Camry. Not Nigerian used. Not Belgium. Brand new. Well, new to him it had some scratches, but Kachi didn't ask questions. Love is blind, remember. She moved him from his one-room apartment to a 2-bedroom flat in GRA. GRA. The same GRA he promised Adanna they'd live in one day. Except Adanna was supposed to wait 10 years. Zainab did it in 10 days. His Instagram. Fire. Pictures of him leaning on the camera with captions like, God's time is the best, and, my woman, my backbone. The audacity. Using the same words he used for Adanna, but now for a woman he'd known for 3 weeks. His friends commented, you don't chop life. Chairman. Levels don't change. But let me tell you something about the devil, he doesn't give gifts. He gives loans. And the interest. Your soul. Zainab was always on her phone, speaking in hushed tones. Sometimes in languages Kachi didn't understand. Men would come to the shop, rough-looking men with scars and dead eyes. They'd bring cars for repairs, but these cars had no license plates. Some had scratched off VIN numbers. The kind of cars that scream stolen louder than a pastor on Sunday. One day, Kachi's old friend Emeka pulled him aside. "Brothers, this your girlfriend, where she dey get all this money?" "She's a businesswoman," Kachi said defensively. "Import and export." "Import and export of what?" Emeka pressed. "Kachi, open your eyes. This girl smells like trouble." But Kachi didn't want to open his eyes. Why would he? He was driving a Camry, living in GRA, wearing designer clothes even if they were fake, which he didn't know. He was finally the big boy he always wanted to be. Then came the papers. "Baby," Zainab would say, sliding documents across the table, "just sign here. It's for our business expansion. Company registration forms. Bank account applications. Vehicle importation documents." Kachi signed them all. Didn't read a single line. Didn't ask a single question. Just signed like his signature was going out of style. "You're going to be so rich," Zainab would purr, kissing his cheek. "These connections will change your life." Oh, they changed his life all right. Just not the way he expected. One evening, Zainab announced, "Pack a bag. We are going to Lagos. I have people you need to meet." Lagos. Kachi had never been to Lagos. He was so excited, he packed his best clothes, the ones Zainab bought him, and practically danced to the airport. His first time flying. He took pictures of everything. The boarding pass, the airplane wing, even the safety card. Village boy in the city behavior, but he didn't care. 3 days in Lagos. 5-star hotel. Parties with men who wore gold chains thicker than ropes. Women who looked like they were dipped in money. Kachi felt like he had arrived. Then on the 3rd day, Zainab got a phone call. Her face changed. "Baby, I have an emergency meeting. You go back to Onitsha. I'll join you in 2 days." Kachi flew back alone, still high on his Lagos experience. He took a taxi straight to his shop, ready to tell his boys about the big things coming. But when he arrived, police. Everywhere. Everywhere. Not just regular police. EFCC, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The ones that don't play. Their vehicles surrounded his shop like ants on sugar. "Are you Kachi Nwosu?" an officer asked. "Why yes, what is?" "You're under arrest for money laundering, criminal conspiracy, and receiving stolen property." "What?" The handcuffs clicked before he could even process what was happening. Cold metal on his wrist. His dreams crashing down faster than a Nigerian bank's network on salary day. "There must be a mistake," Kachi shouted. "I don't know anything about." The officer laughed. Not a funny laugh. "Yeah, we've heard this before," laugh. "These documents," he said, spreading papers on the hood of the police car. "Your signature." Kachi's signature was on everything. Companies he'd never heard of. Bank accounts with millions flowing through them, money he'd never seen. Stolen vehicles traced to his shop. "Where is Zainab?" Kachi asked desperately. "She can explain." "Zainab?" Another officer chuckled. "Is that what she told you her name was?" "Her real name is Amara Obiora. She's the girlfriend of Odigo, the armed robbery kingpin we've been tracking for 2 years." The words stopped making sense. "She used you, boy," the officer continued. "You were her mumu button. Sign papers, take the fall, while she and her boyfriend run the operation." Kachi's legs gave out. If not for the officers holding him, he would have kissed the ground. Everything, the car, the apartment, the clothes, was bought with blood money. And his signature was on all of it. As they drove him away, he saw them sealing his shop with yellow tape. His mechanic boys stood at a distance, shaking their heads. Nobody would come near him now. Nobody. 8 months. 8 months in Kirikiri Maximum Security Prison, Lagos. Prison is not a Nollywood film. There's no part 2 where the hero escapes. It's concrete walls, metal bars, and the smell of dreams rotting. Kachi became a shadow of himself, thin, gaunt, his handsome face now drawn and tired. His mother visited once. She cried so much, the guards had to carry her out. She couldn't afford a good lawyer. The public defender was more interested in his next case than Kachi's freedom. At night, lying on a mattress thinner than hope, Kachi would remember things. Adanna bringing him food every morning. Her smile when he made promises. The way she believed in him when nobody else did. The envelope of money on the floor that he ignored. I sold a diamond for broken glass, he whispered to himself one night. I threw away gold for painted plastic. Meanwhile, back in Onitsha, something beautiful was happening. Adanna was healing. After the test revelation, Tob gave her space. He didn't pressure. He didn't push. He just waited. Sent her encouraging messages. God's plans are bigger than our pain. Your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see your worth. Slowly, like a flower after rain, Adanna began to bloom again. They started meeting for lunch just as friends. Tob would tell her about his work as a civil engineer, about the federal contracts he was handling, about his dreams of building affordable houses for teachers and nurses. Why did you love me all these years? Adanna asked one day. You could have any woman. Tob smiled softly. Because, Ada, you have something money can't buy, a pure heart. I'd rather wait 10 years for a woman with a pure heart than spend one day with someone with a pretty face and an empty soul. 6 months after Kachi's arrest, Adanna didn't even know he was in prison. She had moved on completely. Tob finally asked. Adanna, I'm not asking you to forget your pain overnight. I'm asking you to give me a chance to show you what real love looks like. The kind that protects, not destroys. The kind that builds, not breaks. Adanna, tears streaming down her face, whispered, Tob, you've already shown me. 3 months later, under the old Udola tree in their village where they played as children, Tob went on one knee. Adanna Okoye, will you let me spend the rest of my life protecting your heart? She said yes. And somewhere in Lagos, in a prison cell that smelled like regret, Kachi had no idea that the woman he threw away was about to become something he could never have imagined. 8 months in prison, and then, miracle of miracles, Zainab was caught. Not in Nigeria. In Ghana, trying to board a flight to Dubai with a fake passport. The Ghanaian authorities handed her over, and she sang like a bird. Named names, revealed operations, threw everyone under the bus to save herself. Kachi was cleared of most charges. He was just the Megu, the fool who signed papers without reading. Time served, case closed, go home. But what home? He walked out of Korikeri prison with 3,000 naira in his pocket, prison welfare money. His phone, returned to him, was dead. No charger, no credit, no hope. His clothes hung on him like they were borrowed from a bigger man. Prison had eaten his flesh and left only bones and regret. He took a night bus to Onitsha. The cheap one that stops at every village and smells like sadness. 14 hours of sitting next to a woman with 3 crying children, thinking about how he used to drive a Camry. He arrived at dawn. Onitsha was waking up, but Kachi felt like he was still sleeping in a nightmare. His shop. Still sealed. His apartment. Someone else lived there now. His friends. They crossed the road when they saw him coming. He went to his mother's small room in Feg. One room in a compound where 15 families shared 2 toilets. The same poverty he had tried so hard to escape. My son, his mother cried, holding his hollow face. What have you done to yourself? He couldn't answer. How do you tell your mother that you threw away a good woman for a criminal? That you tried to pimp out your girlfriend for rent? That you're 29 years old with nothing but shame to your name? No shop. No money. No friends. No woman. So Kachi did what broken men do, he survived. Became a bus conductor on the Onitsha-Owerri route. Yes, a conductor. Owerri. 2,000 naira. Collecting money, arguing with passengers, sweating in traffic. The same route he used to drive his Camry on. Now he was hanging from the door of a danfo, shirt soaked with sweat, voice hoarse from shouting. 3 months passed. 3 months of enter with your change 3 months of shift make person enter. 3 months of watching successful men in cars while he collected 200 naira change. Then his uncle came to visit from Abuja. His uncle, his late father's younger brother, was everything Kachi wanted to be. Successful. Respected. Rich. He had businesses, connections, the kind of life Kachi had dreamed of. Kachi went to greet him in Transekolo, the rich part of town. His uncle's compound had 3 cars. 3. Kachi remembered when he had one for 3 weeks and thought he had arrived. They sat and talked. His uncle asked about his life. Kachi lied, said he was managing, working on new opportunities. His uncle nodded, not believing a word but too polite to say so. Then Kachi saw it. In the corner of the room sat a souvenir bag. Beautiful. Elegant. The kind they give at big weddings. And on it was a picture that made his heart stop. Adanna. But not the Adanna he knew. This Adanna was glowing. Wearing traditional Igbo attire, George wrapper, coral beads that looked like they cost more than his life. And beside her, a man in matching attire, smiling like he had won the lottery of life. Tob. The caption read, Tob and Adanna, a love ordained by God. Kachi's hands shook as he picked up the bag. Uncle, his voice cracked, how do you know them? His uncle smiled. Oh, that's my friend's son, Tob. We do business together. Brilliant boy. Civil engineer. Just won a 2 billion naira federal contract. 2 billion. The room started spinning. And the bride? His uncle continued, not noticing Kachi's face. Adanna. My brother, that girl is special. You know she's the daughter of the Enugu state governor. What? Governor's daughter? Kachi whispered. Yes. But you'd never know it. She did her youth service here in Onitsha, lived like an ordinary person. Refused her father's money, wanted to make it on her own. Very humble. The kind of woman you thank God for. The rice in a flask, he mocked. The church usher Zainab laughed at. The woman he told to sleep with his landlord was a governor's daughter. I heard she had a useless boyfriend before, his uncle added, twisting the knife without knowing. Treated her like rubbish. Thank God she found Tob. That wedding. 1,000 guests. The governor spent money. Kachi excused himself, claimed stomach pain, and stumbled out. He walked through Onitsha streets like a madman, his mind replaying everything. Then he saw it. Upper Eweka Road. The busiest intersection in Onitsha. And there, bigger than life, was a billboard. Tob and Associates engineering firm. Building Nigeria's future, one project at a time. And there in the photo stood Tob in an expensive suit. But beside him, in a power suit that screamed success, was Adanna. Meet our co-founder, Mrs. Adanna Tebena. MBA, Project Management Specialist. Co-founder. Not just wife. Co-founder. Cars were honking. Passengers shouting, conductor. Enter bus. But Kachi stood frozen, staring at the billboard of the woman he threw away. The woman who gave him 70% of her salary was now co-founder of a billion naira company. The woman he asked to sleep with his landlord was married to a man who would probably buy the whole compound. The woman he mocked for bringing rice in a flask was now eating at tables he couldn't even serve. I threw away a queen, he whispered to himself, for a curse. Kachi lived the rest of his days as a conductor in Onitsha. He never married. How could he? Every woman he met, he compared to Adanna. And they all fell short. Every time his boss passed Upper Eweka, he saw that billboard. And every time, it reminded him that he had held a diamond and thrown it away for broken glass. Adanna. She lived a life full of love. She started a foundation, the Adanna Initiative, helping young women escape abusive relationships. Her story gave hope to thousands. Tob never asked her to prove her love by breaking herself. He protected her. Honored her. Together, they built an empire based on respect, not exploitation.